Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take your sources, could be articles, research notes, you name it, and we really pull out the most important bits, the key insights.
Think of it as your shortcut to getting properly informed on something specific.
Exactly. And today we are diving deep into a real giant in personal development. It's the iconic book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Ah, yes, an absolute classic.
Right. Published way, way back in 1937. And, it's seen as one of the most influential self-help books ever.
Definitely sits high on that list.
And the interesting thing is, despite that title, Think and Grow Rich, it's actually not just about making money. He argues it's about hitting any big goal in life.
Which is maybe why it's had such staying power.
Could be. And what's really wild is the research behind it. Apparently, Napoleon Hill spent like 25 years interviewing over 500 really successful people. We're talking massive names: Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison. Just incredible access.
Yeah, the sheer scope of that research is foundational to the book's claims.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Absolutely. And that's what we're aiming for today. We want to explore those core principles Hill identified, the fundamentals behind success.
And see how they hold up today.
Exactly. See how you can understand them and maybe even apply them. The goal really is for you to finish this deep dive, knowing not just what the book says, but understanding why it still connects with so many people, almost 90 years later.
Okay, so let's jump right in. The core message. Hill hammers home this really powerful central idea. It's almost like a mantra.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve.
That's the one. He kicks things off saying success starts with a burning desire. That's his phrase.
Not just a wish, a burning desire.
Right. And it needs to be backed up by faith, belief, and grounded in definiteness of purpose, knowing exactly what you want.
Which sounds simple, but maybe isn't always easy in practice.
No, probably not. But what really jumps out, especially for 1937, is this heavy focus on the power of your thoughts. The idea that thinking can actually turn into, wealth and success.
It's quite radical when you think about the time it was written.
Yeah. What's your read on that core idea?
Well, that's precisely where Hill was, I think, quite revolutionary. He's basically saying your internal world, your mental state, that's the starting point for all external results.
So it's not just about hard work, hustle.
Those things matter, presumably. But Hill argues they follow the thought, the belief. It's fascinating because it puts the power squarely back on the individual's mindset. It really highlights this psychological foundation for mastering anything.
Build it in your mind first.
Pretty much. Before you build the empire or achieve the dream, you have to build the belief and the vision internally. Do you reckon that idea still feels kind of new to people? Or has it sort of seeped into the mainstream now?
That's a good question. I think maybe the depth of it still surprises people. We tend to look for the external trick, the quick fix, right?
Yeah.
But Hill forces you to look inside first.
Yeah, it's not always the intuitive first step for many.
No. But he doesn't just leave it there as philosophy. He gives us a roadmap, these 13 key principles, his 13 steps to riches. This is the how-to for turning thought into reality.
The actionable part.
Right. Should we quickly run through them, just the headlines?
Good idea. Let's list them out.
Okay. Number 1, desire. That burning desire we mentioned has to be strong, specific.
Crucial starting point.
2, faith. Believing in yourself, believing you can achieve the goal, essential.
Without that, the desire probably fizzles out.
3, autosuggestion. This is about using daily affirmations, kind of programming your subconscious mind.
Influencing your deeper beliefs.
4, specialized knowledge. Not just general education, but focused, usable knowledge for your specific goal.
Growing your stuff, basically.
5, imagination. Being creative, finding solutions, generating ideas. Mental workshop.
Yeah, where plans are born.
6, organized planning. You need solid step-by-step plans. Can't just wish for it.
The practical strategy.
7, decision. Being decisive. Hill was really big on this. He felt indecision was a major cause of failure.
Paralysis by analysis, we might call it now.
Exactly. 8, persistence. Just sticking with it. Endurance. The bridge, he calls it, between desire and success.
Grit. Resilience, absolutely vital.
9, power of the mastermind. This is about surrounding yourself with supportive, like-minded people. Synergy.
Leveraging collective brain power and support.
10, the mystery of sex transmutation. Okay, this one often raises eyebrows.
It does sound a bit archaic, maybe.
Yeah, but Hill wasn't being literal about, the physical act. He meant channeling that powerful primal sexual energy away from just physical expression and into your work, your creativity, your goals.
So redirecting intense drive.
Right. Taking that powerful force and using it constructively for achievement, like transmuting raw energy into focused output. He saw it as a potent source of creative power if managed correctly.
Interesting. Needs a bit of modern interpretation, perhaps.
For sure. Okay, 11. The subconscious mind. Understanding its power, how it connects your thoughts directly to results.
The link between autosuggestion and reality.
12. The brain. He described it almost like radio broadcasting and receiving thought vibration.
Bit metaphorical, but points to the mind's connectivity.
And finally, 13. The sixth sense. This is like intuition, foresight, something that develops, he says, once you master the other 12.
Sort of the peak level of awareness.
Yeah. So looking at that whole list, wow, it covers a lot of ground, doesn't it? From very practical planning to stuff that sounds almost mystical.
It's remarkably comprehensive.
What jumps out to you from that list as, like, especially relevant right now?
Well, that's a great point. What's really striking is how many of these, even the ones that sound maybe a bit dated or abstract, like sex transmutation or the brain as a broadcaster, they really do echo in modern self-help and psychology, just maybe with different words.
Right.
Like you said, persistence is now grit or resilience. Power of the mastermind. That's the core idea behind, masterminds, accountability groups, startup incubators.
So he kind of preempted a lot of modern concepts.
It really seems like it. He built this whole ecosystem for personal growth. It's not just do this action. It's about aligning your thoughts, beliefs, knowledge, energy, environment. The whole package. Does any really surprise you with how current they felt?
Definitely the autosuggestion and subconscious minds stuff. It feels so close to modern visualization techniques, positive affirmations.
The whole mindset industry, in a way.
It's like he saw it coming back in the 30s. And I think that really gets to why this book, Think and Grow Rich, has been so incredibly sticky, why it endures.
Those timeless lessons.
Exactly. Timeless lessons. Even though it's nearly 90 years old, so much of it still applies. A huge part is that deep mindset focus. Hill's emphasis on the psychology, the inner game of success, that's influenced practically everyone who writes or teaches about this stuff today.
It set a template.
It really did. And crucially, it's action-oriented. It's not just philosophy floating in the clouds. Every principle has steps, things for you, the reader, to actually do.
Which makes it feel empowering, not just theoretical.
Right. And this brings us to, summarizing its core strengths. Why has it lasted?
Well, the strengths are pretty clear, I think. You've got those inspiring real-life stories from his research, which make it relatable.
Yeah, the examples help.
It's written in a fairly easy-to-follow way, despite some of the language. And it genuinely does seem to help people build mental discipline, get clear on what they want.
Focus.
Focus, exactly. And it really pushes you towards proactive goal setting and just not giving up. Persistence, which, let's face it, is essential for anything worthwhile.
Absolutely. It's definitely an empowering framework.
It is.
Okay, but, no classic is perfect, right? We have to look at the other side, too. Think and Grow Rich has its quirks, things that might not sit well today.
Sure, it's a product of its time in some ways.
We touched on sex transmutation. For a modern reader, that language, that concept, it could feel outdated, maybe even a bit weird or abstract. How do you think people grapple with that one today?
That's a really fair point. The language is dated. But if you kind of look past the specific wording, the core idea is about harnessing powerful, innate human drives.
Okay.
Modern psychology talks about channeling passion, drive, focus, intense energy. Hill was maybe just using the language available to him then to describe taking that raw, powerful energy and consciously directing it.
So transforming drive into focused creative work.
Exactly. It's about disciplined energy management. It probably needs some reinterpretation for today, like you said, but the underlying concept of managing and directing your core energy is still very relevant, I'd argue.
Okay, I can see that. What about the other common critique, the lack of, modern scientific backing? We live in an age where people often want evidence, studies. Does that undermine it for today's audience?
That's definitely something people raise. And look, from a strict empirical scientific methods standpoint, no, the book doesn't provide double-blind studies. It's based on interviews and is a philosophical synthesis.
So it's more philosophical than scientific?
Precisely. But its incredible longevity and the sheer volume of anecdotal success stories, that suggests its philosophical insights, its framework, still resonates deeply and provides value for many. Maybe think of it less as a scientific textbook and more as a guide for self-experimentation.
A blueprint you test yourself.
Right. And tied to that is the fact that it's definitely not a quick fix. That's maybe another perceived weakness in our instant gratification culture.
Yeah, he demands effort.
Absolutely. Consistent effort, discipline, persistence over time. It's a blueprint for building something significant, brick by brick in your mind. And then in reality, it's not a lottery ticket or a magic wand. It requires real engagement from you.
Which can be a challenge.
It can, but perhaps also why the results, if achieved, are so profound for people.
Okay, so tying this all together, who is this deep dive really for? Who should seriously consider engaging with Think and Grow Rich, or at least its principles?
Based on everything we've discussed.
Yeah, our sources point to a few key groups. Aspiring entrepreneurs, definitely.
The goal-oriented nature fits well.
Students of personal development, people really interested in mindset. Anyone, really, with big goals in life, career, personal, whatever.
And maybe professionals looking specifically to master that inner game, the mindset piece.
Yeah. Does that sound right?
I think so. Whether you're explicitly chasing financial growth or maybe it's a different kind of personal dream. Launching a project, achieving a fitness goal, writing a book.
Yeah.
The principles here offer this kind of foundational structure for success.
A mental toolkit.
Exactly. It really invites you to look hard at your own mindset, your beliefs, your approach to your ambitions. It challenges you to ask, what do I really believe I could achieve?
So there you have it, our deep dive into Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. It really does stand up as a must-read classic. The review we used gave it a solid 55.
High praise, but probably warranted given its impact.
Yeah, it offers this foundational blueprint if you're serious about success, whatever that looks like for you, financial, personal, creative.
It covers the spectrum.
We really hope you'll think about how these principles, desire, faith, persistence, all of them might apply to your own life, your own goals. Take a moment to reflect on what your burning desires are, and crucially, your capacity to believe and keep going.
And maybe, just as a final thought to leave you with, something to mull over. If Hill is right, if the mind truly can conceive and believe and then achieve, then what unexamined belief might be currently holding you back, maybe without you even realizing it, from reaching your next big goal? Something to explore.